Great. Todah Rabah HaKohin for the lecture. Everybody heard the lecture. Can I get a 1 for everybody that did get the lecture? If you got the lecture, Shabbat Shalom to you, Oliver. Vive la France. Yeah, there's a lot of things kicking up. I would like to say this. Adi, you didn't get to hear the lecture? Well, you'll get it on the recording. No worries there. Shenya, Shabbat Shalom to you, my brother from the same mother. One thing I would like to say going forward before I get into the lecture here is say this. I would like to say this. Adelia, can you hear me now, though, right? What I mean is if you can hear me. Simha, Shabbat Shalom to you in the valley, but on top of the mountain, Baruch Hashem. We give thanks. Okay, Adelia, you'll be able to get it on the recording. No worries. It's all being recorded. Again, I played a pre-recorded message myself, so no worries there. What I would like to, put out to the family, as all of you know, Mishpahah, which was quite interesting to me, is that you all are students of nature, and my desire is that all of you are really beginning to really hone in and study human nature, because this is a great time to do a case study on human nature. It really is. This is a great period with everything going on in the world right now, and Shane Yao will be able to tell you. What goes on around the world can affect you in your house. It can affect you. It can have an effect on you. What's going on outside of the United States of America, it can really have an effect on you. How many of you would agree with me on that? Believe it or not, it can have an effect on how much you paying for your eggs, how much you paying for your beef, it does have an effect. And that effect can be, in some instances on how we think, it can be positive or negative. But I would encourage all of you to utilize whatever reaction is a cause of your action. Use it as positivity to propel you to the next level wherever you're trying to go. Now, in your affirmations and in your visualizations and in your scripting, what I've noted is that when you do your assessment on, okay, where am I? I've been doing my visualizations, I've been going through my meditations, and when you do your assessment, I would like for you to note this. Yeah, you may not have fully completed that particular goal you wanted, but have you not knocked down some obstacles, or have you not made progress towards that area? And I can guarantee you, 100% of the family will say, yeah, I am noting that, okay, I'm getting a lot more favor in this area. I'm understanding more in this particular area, whatever it may be, whatever your desire is. And now that particular desire is becoming like more vivid to me, like an HD quality, where I'm actually starting to see some results that's getting me towards that, the pinnacle, which is meeting that desire, that dream, that want. And you'll find that in your life, as you continue to have relationships and relations and build relations with human nature and yourself, by the way, which is very important, is that you continue to build that relationship with yourself, with self. That totally is so important as well. So as you begin to do these things, you'll see that you are making progress. And progress, you are propelling yourself up the ramp, and you're not going down a decline, but you're actually inclining upwards towards whatever your desire is, so you can reach out and grab it. And I think that is very important for us to really, not be too hard on ourselves, because sometimes as we judge ourselves, which is totally healthy, instead of judging other people, as we judge ourselves, is that sometimes we're very judgmental of self. And what we need to do is counter that by being proactive and being positive with yourself, and looking at not all the negativities that are around you, but taking a scenario, taking a situation, and totally changing it for the positive, which on the surface may look negative to you. Some folks look at divorce as a negative. I don't. The reason why you're divorced is that the two couldn't come together, and that's I'm going to be talking about foundation today. Well, one of the most important foundational relationships is that the two can come together. And another reason for divorce is that the two parties may not be totally happy with one another. And one of the foundation, and like it's said in our books, is described this way. From the foundation of the world, our default setting as human beings is to be happy. It's to have total happiness. And if two people can't come together and be happy, then it's best that they, go apart. Maybe for a little ways, maybe for a little time, and then maybe forever. So that both parties can go out and find their happiness. I'm totally in agreement with that. So you don't look at divorce as a negative, because what can happen is that a lot of times we can sit there and we can dwell on the negativity. I do this sometimes. I don't dwell on the negativity, but I go back and I replay the relationships that didn't work out so well in my life. And I don't replay them from the standpoint of a negativity, but I go back and I replay these things. How many of you do that? I replay events that have happened in my life. Put up a capital R if you know what I'm talking about. So that I can always remember, and I can learn from that. And I can remember, this is what I did wrong in that relationship. This is what I did wrong. Thank God for your responses, by the way. Now, as I go back and assess the situation, I can't sit there and point the finger at the other party and say, well, you 100% the reason why that, the particular situation that happened in my life didn't work out well. No. Any person worth their salt will sit there and say, look, well, let's put the blame game on myself. How could I have done things better? So, and this is why it's very important. And you'll see in this parsha as well, as we open up the book of Deuteronomy, the last of our foundational books, in my opinion, because my foundation is the Torah. I don't know about yours, but the last of our foundational books, as we open it up, you'll see what Moses is doing here. Is he doing the same thing? He's doing a total recall, or what I call a remix, to the children of Israel. And he's reminding the children of Israel everything that they've been through. Not to sit there and put it down, because look, Moses, as you all know, in this period in history, is getting ready to go sleep with his fathers. So what is he doing to Israel? He's reminding them, like we talked about earlier on the Shabbat. We have the Shabbat, so we use the Shabbat as a time of remembrance, as a time of rewinding, as a time of rejoicing, as a time of rest, as a time of recalling the things that took place in our history, so we don't repeat, a lot of our words today, right? But so that we don't repeat the same things that our forefathers, our foremothers did. We should learn from these experiences, so when we go out and take action, we utilize the history of our forefathers and foremothers to help us not fall in those same stumbling blocks and learn from them. So to actually propel us to the reward that we're seeking in our desires and our dreams and our thoughts. You see where we're going, Mishpachah. So it's very important that you do remix it. Don't sit here and totally try to forget it, because then you're just not being real with human nature. You ever heard this said? I'll forgive you, but I won't forget. How many of you heard that before? I'll forgive you, but I'm not going to forget. Think about that for a minute. I'll forgive you, but I'm not going to forget. You see, and it's good not to forget. That way you'll remember how to forgive. You know what I mean? That way you'll remember your process of forgiving. Now, with all these tools that are coming out, I like to play Call of Duty, and I like to collect weapons and do all these things and get all these cool weapons. But the weapons I collect, some other friends I'm playing Call of Duty, they don't like that particular weapon. And the same way with your meditations. Some of these techniques, some of these weapons and tools that we have may not be suited for your particular type of personality. And this is why, like our queen said in the lecture, when you go into doing that after action review, they called it in the military, or you go back and you reassess. Well, okay, over this past month, okay, is it effective? Is it working? If not, then you can maybe try another weapon or make some changes. If you don't see anything, like our queen talked about, anything shaking, anything moving, then you may want to try another approach. There's nothing wrong with testing. How many of you know in our history, testing is a big part of our way of life. Test, and then retest on top of the testing until you find out what works. And then what do you do after that? Then you just, some more R words. You just begin to rinse and you begin to repeat. You begin to rinse and you begin to repeat. That's our life in a nutshell, Mishpahah. The beautiful life that we have under the foundation of the Torah. It's our foundation. How many of you will agree, will affirm that the Torah is your foundation? Put up a capital F if you'll affirm that. Torah is my foundation, Rabbi Kefa. That's my foundation. Everything for me stops and starts with the Torah. That's my base. That's home base for me. To offer your responses, by the way. You got to affirm it. You got to claim it. Christians love to claim it. They'll tell you, ooh, I claim it, girl. I hear it all the time. Ooh, girl, I claim it. I claim it. I'm like, Baruch Hashem, claim it. Claim it and it'll be yours. Ooh, I claim it. I claim that blessing. I hear that a lot in Christianity. I mean, you hear them say all the time, ooh, I claim that. I claim it. Well, claim it. Claim it and it will be yours. But again, your claiming has to come from a foundation that's solid. If your foundation is rocky, if your foundation is not stable, then you can claim till the cows come home. But that don't mean it's going to be yours. Why? It's because you have to come from a position of strength, not of weakness. And as you all know, and I'll make this statement. I wanted to make this statement earlier before Hokmah took me to another place. But as you all know, that in this world today, I would put it this way. There's a lot of activity going on in the world. Put up a capital A if you agree with me right now. There is a lot of activity going on in the world right now. In your world, my world, the world as a whole. And I want to tell you this. If you didn't already know this, don't be surprised. Be of good cheer with all this activity that's going on in the world. Because this activity is what's going to propel you to the next level. You see, I'm a man of the markets. I love the markets. And one of the key things that you need in the markets, right, Eddies, is volatility, they call it. The V word is volatility. You need some up and down, but you don't need flat line. You need up and down, up and down. That's activity, which in the stock market world, the currency world, they call it volatility. I like to pick pairs that have a lot of volatility. That's why for those of you who live in the UK, I love you because, your currency, that GBP, it has a lot of volatility. The British pound, it moves a lot, and I like that. So I love trading the GBP pairs. GBP USD, by the way, is one of my specials. That's my special. Put that towards the top. Why? It's because it has a lot of volatility to it, a lot of movement, a lot of action going on. You see, action equates to prosperity, to wealth, to success, right? Action, by the way, is one of our key mainstays as the children of the books. We must take action. We must be active, as Akoim talked about in his lecture. You must be active. You can't be a couch potato and a couch slouch and think everything's just going to come to you. You can think that all you want, but that's not realistic, and that's not in cahoots with reality. Me and reality are best friends. Why? It's because I create my reality. We talked about that last Shabbat, right? You can change your reality. You can alter your reality. You can create your reality. Because believe it or not, if you're not doing it, somebody else is doing it for you. How many of you have been subjects to somebody else creating your reality? Put up a capital R if you know what I'm talking about. Mama said I'm going to only be this. Well, I've been conditioned. Well, my father said I'm only this, that, the other, and the third. Well, see, guess what they were doing? Well, Hollywood said I'm this. So, and that's what you thought you were. You see, they were creating your reality for you. But now you are wised up and you're clued up. And you're tuned in. Why? Because at that time, your foundation was, I dare to say, less than shaky. You know, if not rocky, or if not, no foundation. You know what I mean? And that's fine, because again, remember those experiences so that you have a high appreciation and high gratitude of where you are today. Never look back on your past as negative. Look back on your past, however it may be, shiny, bright, dark. Look back on it and remember it, because it's going to help you propel yourself to the next level, and to always keep you humble and not get haughty. This is why remembering our history is so key, because we always want to remember being enslaved and being full of riches, being, sought after. Our forefathers at one time were, ridiculed and put down, to being raised up to points on high. Baruch Hashem. Talked about, slandered, to being what? To being hailed, to being heroes. And you want to remember that. You always want to remember that. This is why it's so important to do a recall. And one of the most important things that Moses did before he took his last breath to go sleep and go be with his fathers is do what? Do a recall to the children of Israel. This was approximately about like when Moses began to teach here in Deuteronomy, the first books that we read here, he began to recall things to the children of Israel. He approximately had about like 7 days, 10 days before he was going to take his last breath on the face of this earth. And what is he talking about? He's given a remembrance, a recall, a review. All these are words, right? But this is what's going on. Setting the stage. Telling Israel about the actions, the children of Israel, the Hebrews at that time, because they hadn't crossed over the Jordan yet. So they still just Hebrews. He's telling the Hebrews, look, this is where you've been. Let's do an assessment. And that's important that we all need to do that. And recognize, Shane Yah said some words this week about himself that, really made a lot of sense. And Shane Yah gets it. We gotta go back and reassess and say, okay, how do I need to make improvements? Instead of pointing the finger saying, condemning other people and talking about them, how they wrong and this, that. No. How can I make improvement with self to make myself better? So you gotta go in there inside of self and say, well, what can I fix and what can I make better? Because although we're perfect, we can always get better perfect. We can always get better at perfection, can't we? The creator of all things, source, powers, God, whatever you call him, he don't make mistakes. Powers don't make mistakes, Mishpahah. So if you've been given, the ideology or the belief that you're a mistake, you can change that. Powers don't make mistakes. Powers don't make delinquents. Powers makes delectables, delitables. The powers makes delicious. For you women in the room, you all are delicious. And listening via YouTube, Baruch Hashem. So this is what you must understand. You must begin to rewrite, rewrite your history. Change it. Change your reality. Alter your reality into how you want it to be. So these are things that we have to consider. These are things that Moses thought were very important. To begin to rewind and do a remix with the children of Israel, with the Hebrews, and talk to them and say, this is where you have been. This is what you have done. These are the actions that you have taken and the consequences that came with them. This is what came about this is the reaction to your actions. And this is very healthy for all of us to do as the children of Israel. in our meditations, in our prayers, in our visualizations, is to always look at the reaction to our actions. And if we need to make adjustment, we can. We've been equipped with a lot of tools, Mishpahah. All of you understand, listen to me on YouTube, listen live. If you've been at the feet and under the umbrella of the Kohen for any amount of time, Rabbi Simon out there, you understand you have tools, you see. Simha says, to top of that, Simha says, from the darkness comes the greatest light. Oh, indeed. Baruch Hashem. Don't sit here and pitch your tent in the darkness. Go back to the darkness. And remember those times. And that will help you propel yourself to even more greater light going forward. And it'll keep you humble. Believe me, you can't get haughty when you start to remember, where you come from. Can't get haughty. You can only use that to humble you. It give you more humility as you continue on your journey, as you sojourn from strength to strength to strength to strength. Because believe me, sometimes your mind will get a hold of you, ego will get a hold of you, and want to keep you in that state. Oh, you see, and want to repress you. Another R word, keep you down. You see how they talked about you? You see, if they saying it, it is true. You worth nothing. You never gonna be nothing. No, you great. You greatness. You see how the ex-wife used to do you? You see, what she said was true. Still to this day. You still the same way. No, it's not. I'm totally different now. I'm gonna tell you from a personal testimony. You see, Luxury Class saying that's how someone made me feel yesterday. Well, Luxury Class, this is for you, my brother from the same mother. This is for you. Luxury Class goes on to say, I said I'm sorry that you feel that way. Yeah, that's what you say, but you keep it moving. And maybe you inject a little positivity in them. Because a lot of people don't know what positivity is. A lot of folks, as you study human nature, have been so beat down that when you tell them something positive, how many of you have noticed this? It's a shock to them. It's like a revelation to them. Like, what did you just say? You know what I'm talking about, Oliver? It's like when you infuse positivity in some people, it's almost like it's a whole new world to them. Because they're so full of just, nothingness, negativity. And that's all they know. And this is why it's so important for us to infuse positivity into everybody we meet in our relations. As we relationship build. That's why students of humanity, what you are, is so important for us. And what are we doing? Is that we're bringing light, like Simha said, to that darkness. We're bringing that light to them. And whoa, wow, where did that come from? And they're so shocked and surprised because I look at it and see it on their face. Cashiers at the store, they'll sit there and say, well, they go through the same old robot rote routine. Well, how you doing today? When you tell them it's another day in paradise, oh my goodness, what? What did you just say? What? This is paradise? You tell them that, and you can tell the ones that you can almost, it's just almost real. The ones that are just, have made their foundation negativity, because you see it in their response. Remember? When you take an action or you say an action, always look for the reaction. Students of human nature. If you're going to do it with self in your relationship, shouldn't you be doing it outside of self, with relationships outside of yourself that you're going to have? How many of you understand your relationship building every day? Put up a capital R if you understand that. You're like, Rabbi, I understand. Every day I'm relationship building on some kind of level. Every single day you are. To for your responses, it's so true. So we have to know how to, from our foundational point of view, because believe me, from the foundations of the world, the Torah stood and the Torah will stand forever. From the foundation of the world. And you can go and look that phrase up. And it says it just like this in our history. From the foundation of the world. When utilizing that word foundation. Quite interesting, really. Quite interesting. From the foundation of the world. See, that's what I want to get back to. I'm not trying to build a foundation in heaven. From the foundation of this world. This world was founded on the Torah. This earth, the universes, the Milky Ways, the galaxies. You all, family of Jacob, are superhumans. You are. But you got to realize and you got to know that you are a superhuman. Because you don't think just like the regular humans. And I say that in all humility. I don't mean to say, well, you're more superior than the humans. No, but you are superhuman in all humility. Because just by your words, Ms. Bra, how many of you know you can change a human being? You can do it. Just by your words. This is why it's so important that we infuse positivity, like Luxury Class understands. You got to be able to infuse positivity in this. Remember I told you, we're in a very active world this day, this period. And I would also like to tell you, if I hadn't told you, I'm going to reiterate, is that this is going to occur all the way through 2020. 2020 is going to be activity all the way going into 2021. It's going to be a lot of activity going on in the world. Because how many of you know that a presidential election in North America affects the whole world? And believe it or not, I don't know if you're hearing this, but the world is just on standby right now until the presidential election is decided in North America. How many of you have heard commentary on that? Or you kind of know that for a fact? It's like the world is kind of frozen until the next president of the United States is elected. I'm telling you, if you haven't noticed that, that's what's going on. There's a freeze going on right now. It's a freeze. It's a freeze. The world is frozen right now. They just waiting until they find out who's going to be the next president of the United States of America. And then you'll see things start to pick up. But until then, there's going to be a lot of volatility. A lot of up and down, a lot of up and down, a lot of up and down. You're just seeing it with this corona mumbo jumbo. Numbers are up, numbers are down, numbers are up, numbers are down. And you'll see, I'm looking at the markets, and the markets will fluctuate just based on numbers up, numbers down, this many cases in this state, blah, blah, blah. They're not doing the reopening. Matter of fact, they're going back and they're slowing down, and they're going back and doing a close, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Activity. A lot of action taking place. Based more or less on the actions that are coming out. Now, a lot of these things is a lot that I'm telling you, I get what President Trump said when he talked about, hey, we need to kind of slow down on the testing. Because let me tell you, I want you all to understand this. A lot of these tests are let's just say, they're not 100% accurate. And there's this story that I heard from a good friend of mine. She's a therapist and a speech therapist. And one of her family members went to have a pap smear done. Now, for you women, you know what a pap smear is. It's a routine annual thing that's done. Now, when this woman went to have her pap smear done, the doctor's office asked her, hey, dude, would you like to get tested for, corona testing? The woman refused. She said, no, I just want my pap smear and I'll be on my way, right? Well, lo and behold, guess what? 2 weeks later, this same woman gets a call from that same doctor's office that said she was positive for corona. And the woman never took a test, Ms. Fahad. Ding, 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 ding. So, ding, ding, ding. And the woman had never taken a test. Now, you might say, oh, that's just a simple mistake, Rabbi. They may have mistaken her for somebody else. No, when the doctor's office called into the woman's house, the husband answered, answered. So HIPAA law says that you have to go through all kind of questions and make sure that this is the right person. They ask for Social Security number. They ask for the last four of the Social Security number. They ask for birth date and all that. So they didn't have the wrong person. So, surprise, surprise. Are you surprised, family? You shouldn't be. Remember, we're in active times, and there's a lot of agendas going on with activity. A lot of different agendas. And if that's not good enough for you, how about look at these states that are having all this chaotic stuff going on right now? You see? Protests, and you're having to call in all these, to bring law and order back to wherever these cities and states are. One mayor, he went into some of this protests and he got actually beat up. They were actually throwing things at him and booing him and stuff like this. So listen, law and order is needed at this time. You must have order if you're going to have law. You must have law if you're going to have order. They go this in tandem. That's the relationship right there. Rabbi Zachariah said, one of my customers had the same thing happen to her. I know 3 people that had this happen to them as well. My goodness, you see? So, when you say, well, Rabbi, why in the hell would somebody do something like that? The bottom line is fear. They want to keep people in fear. And another thing there may be as well is that they want to soup the numbers up to keep more people in fear with this election season in. So they kind of want to sway the election based on corona numbers. You see what I'm saying? Like, okay, if we have all these numbers, then, the person in charge, like Sim I was talking about, the leadership is not doing their job. So maybe we need to change leadership based upon, remember we talked about this. The actions that you take have a reaction to them. So if the reaction is we're having what they call, quote unquote, a spike in numbers, then that means somebody's not doing their job properly, because we want the numbers to go down, not go up. So you'll see a lot of things going on, much less what's going on in the great state of Texas, just closing the embassy down there in Texas, which they didn't close. The Chinese people said down there in Houston, we're not going to close the embassy. What you going to do about it? I tell you, there's a lot of things going on in the world. I sit there I'm scratching my head like, what do you mean? You're not going to close the embassy. They just told you to close that embassy up, and you're not going to close it? Well, you got some cojones. But so, there's a lot of things going on in the world. Like I told my wife the other night, you sit back and you pop your popcorn and you watch all these things unfold. And you don't sit here and rewind this and dwell in fear. You just understand reality for what it really is and understand what's going on behind the scenes. You see, you have to get to the foundation of every action. You have to get to the foundation of every action. Thus, the foundation is the physical presentation of a reaction. Well, what is that going to do? A spike in numbers. When people hear that there's a spike in corona numbers, what's the first thing that they think of? They think everybody's going to die. And everybody's not going to die. You've just been tested positive for corona. It may not be the end of it's not the end of the world. You'll recover. Some recover right at home and don't even need to go and visit the hospital. You know what I mean? And then again, you may have the false positive testing. But the whole agenda when you get to the grits and the greens is that they want to leave you in fear. Fear. And believe me, this is not fantasy land. That's what they want to do. Because when they can leave you in fear, as all of you know, as students of human nature and as students of our history, when Israel was in fear, their reaction was a negative, wasn't it? This is why the Master Yahweh, the Master Yeshua, he always would say, fear not. Have no fear. Don't fear. You see, when you don't fear, then you can think properly and you can make wise decisions. But you don't make wise decisions based upon fear. Normally, you just roll with the masses. Because the masses are doing it. You see, because it's almost like they condition you to just follow along with the stream. When you have your own independent thought. But they kind of want to take that away from you. Through what? Through fear. You don't think for yourself independently. You think like the masses. Well, everybody else is doing it, Rabbi. Everybody else is getting it done, Rabbi. This is why it's going to go back to your foundation. Is your foundation solid or is it just rocky? Or just built on, we're going to read about this in a minute, right out of our books. It goes back to your foundation. Now, in getting into my lecture, what's the purpose of a foundation? Anybody want to answer that? Want to give a right answer in their own opinion? What's the purpose of a foundation? What is the purpose of a foundation? Anybody tell me? In their opinion? What is the purpose of a foundation? What is the purpose? Why have a foundation? You see? Now, while you're pondering on that, Chanya says for stability. Eddie says building a great house, a legacy. Yael 110 says to provide stability. Rabbi Zakari says to build on. Like, what is the purpose of a foundation? To talk for your responses. And none of them are wrong, by the way. To talk for your responses. That's the ground roots question that needs to be asked. What is the purpose of a foundation? Why have a foundation? You see? Eddie says for beginnings. Why have a foundation? Why have one? And to that, we'll go and we're going to open up our books. We know with our Parsha Devarim, we see Moses in a roundabout way, Moshe asking, explaining the same question of a foundation and what action and what reactions took place based upon the foundation. The foundation of them what? The foundation of them following Moses and Aaron through a desert. Desert conditions are not peaches and cream, Mishpahah. And I love that ice cream, by the way. And I love those singers too, by the way, great singers, peaches and cream. But going through a desert is not what you would consider paradise, Mishpahah. It's very dangerous to go through a desert. How many of you in this room have ever experienced desert? Put up a capital D. I have lived out in the desert in Kuwait. I've actually lived out in the desert. Lived out there. In the desert. And believe me, these are not conditions for that I would consider paradise. Hot as hell in the day, cold as hell at night. That's how it was for me. Didn't see a tree. And I like trees. I'm a nature freak myself. I love Mother Nature. Didn't see a tree. I mean, sand everywhere. Sand all up in my underoos. I couldn't keep sand out of nothing. In my eyes. Just, I mean, terrible conditions. Why? Because that's an environment that I wasn't used to. I'm not used to that kind of environment. Yael 110 calls the desert harsh. Indeed harsh. So, Moses is explaining to the children the actions and reactions based upon their wanderings. The Hebrews' wanderings. You see, the Hebrews had a belief in Moses and in the God of Israel for the most part, and the strangers that were among them as well, for the most part. And as you see in our history, and it bears it out in today's time as well, is that in every group of folks, of people, there's always going to be some bad apples, right? We see that in our history. So we should not be surprised, students of humanity, that in every group you go run into some bad apples, but don't judge the whole group based upon the bad apples. But it seems like folks are conditioned to do that, right? It's to pass harsh judgment based upon the bad apples, and to profile all the rest of the group the same as those bad apples. I'm seeing that time and time and over and over and over again. And some of it is done ignorantly, but a lot of it is done, full knowledge and being knowledgeable of the facts. I would call it, educated profile versus uneducated profile. I'll give you an example real quick. And some of it could be so innocent. It could be just so innocent. You could be in the store and you could be sitting there in the produce department and you thumping on a watermelon. And you're sitting there, you're thumping on it. And then this lady comes up to you and says, oh, so you like watermelon? All black people like watermelon. And I said to her, well, I really don't like watermelon. What do you mean? All black people like watermelon. Do you get it? Do you see how innocent that is? Yet it's kind of ignorant and it's almost prejudicial. But again, that's profiling. Same way with fried chicken. Oh, all black people like fried chicken. Oh, really? I don't like fried chicken. Really? All black people like fried chicken. You see where it's going? These stereotypes. You see? So just because some people in the group do it, don't mean all the people do it that way. You go into the mall, you walk by somebody, they start holding their purse. What? All black people gonna rob you? What does that mean? So you get these kind of stereotypes, or just like the bad apples. Well, folks are quick to talk about, Muslims, they're gonna blow up and bomb you. Well, what about Timothy McVeigh? What did he do? And he a Christian. People claim to be a Christian, so all Christians are going to blow up people? You can't stereotype people that way. You can't associate the subset of the bad people in the whole group with the whole group. This is why they call it the subset, or just the bad apples. And you're going to find that as students of human nature in every class. And that's what Moses was talking about as well. We had some bad apples in the group. Had to wean them out. Their actions gave them the reaction that was desired for them. Karma came back on them as well and dealt with them as well. You have some people that's going to hate you. No matter how much haterade you drink, they're going to hate you anyway. How much from the jug of love you drink, they still going to hate you because they love to drink their haterade. And they're going to despise you. And they're not going to want to assist you in anything. There's people like that, believe it or not, in the world, Mishpahar, that their agenda, I don't know if it's your color, if your hair is straight, nappy, but they just not going to like you because you eat with chopsticks or eat with a fork. They're going to find some reason why not to assist you or to help you or to aid you in any kind of way, whatever it may be. They have their prejudices, and you have to understand that. Don't dwell on their negativity. Say, okay, brush yourself off and keep it moving. Because with that one person that's not willing to help you, guess what? There's 10 that's willing to help you. There's 20 and 30 that want to help you and want to assist you and want to aid you and want to see you progress and want to see you be a success. You see? So don't focus on the subset of the bad apples that will come in every race, culture, creed, sect, company, you see. Just keep it moving. You're going to find that. Just like Moses knew. Not everybody liked Moses. Matter of fact, a lot of folks within the Hebrew camp wanted to kill Moses. There was a subset of people that wanted him taken out. I mean, come on now. Come on now. Did they succeed? No. Matter of fact, I can guarantee you all those people were killed. Because remember, karma will come back on you and it will revisit you. The same way you measured out karma is the same way karma going to come back and measure you out. Understand that going forward. This is why you should hold no animosity, no hatred towards anybody. Because that'll come back and visit you. I don't care how they treat you. It doesn't matter how they treat you. It doesn't matter. You just wipe the dust off of your feet and you leave them in peace. Man, that's a good lyrics for a good song. You wipe the dust off of your feet and you leave them in peace. That's what you do. You leave them in shalom. While they might be throwing knives and spoons and cell phones at you, but so be it. You leave them in peace. I got one of the greatest testimonies. I was going to tell you about a little personal testimony from my ex-wife. She texted me the other day. She was like, you are a great man. I was like, this is from the ex-wife luxury class. She said, you are a great man. She said, you have always been a great man. I had no words to that, but I got the text in my phone. She said, you've always been a great man, because every time that woman needs something, I've been there. I've helped her, and she come away. Her ways of coming about need something are always hook and crook. But I didn't hate her for that, and I didn't say, well, just because you did that to me and you ran me through the bush with the legal system and you made me spend all this money, I'm not gonna help you. No, I was always there for her. Always. To this day. And she knows that. Always there for her. I'm Israel. I'll let the Most High deal with my enemies. Although I don't see her as an enemy. But I'll let the Most High deal with her actions towards me. Towards, his son. I don't need to take vengeance. Because the Most High says the vengeance is his. You know what I mean? So, what do? I hit her with my default settings. Peace, love, and joy, and happiness. Can I aid you? Can I assist you? I'll help you. Because she was like, yeah, she texted me. As a matter of fact, she had called me. Left a message. She's like, hey, I was wondering, I want you to sign this title to this car that I gave her. Brand new car on our divorce. The Nissan Maxima, brand new. Well, can you sign the title to it? Because now I'm ready to trade it in. I want to get something else. So can we make arrangements where you can sign the title so I can go ahead and trade this car in and get something better? So I sent her a text back. I said, no worries. I say, congratulations on you getting a new car. Great, Bukashir. I'm so happy for you. I said, you can sign my name. No, we don't have to. I'm too busy battling Corona right now. I don't have time to go, just sign my name and go on your merry way. Be happy, full of blessings, Bukashir. Left her like that, and then she sends the text, oh, you've always been a great man. Baruch Hashem. That's your testimony, so be it. I received that testimony. And I leave it like that, Mishpahah. I just leave it like that. This is the ex-wife. So, again, the importance of us maintaining and establishing relationships and being students of human nature and understanding that I'm a light to the world. Even luxury class and all you other exes that have exes in your life, remember that you are a light to the world. And that includes the ex-wives as well. Because, believe it or not, my case is not Shanya, believe it or not, my case is not, centered out. I'm pretty sure your ex-wives too will come back to you needing assistance or guidance or even just a little help. And always remember, keep in the back of your mind. Ex-husbands too, you're right, Yaya Woman of 10. Keep it in the back of your mind that you are Israel and you are light to the world. And that world includes ex-wives and ex-husbands. Shadasha for that luxury class. So we must consider these things going forward. You see, you can't sit here and say you're children of Israel, but yet you're hating on, what happened to you in the past and how people treated you. And they could have treated you very, very, very bad. But you know what? Let the vengeance be for the Most High to handle for us. Let's continue on in our default settings of love, peace, joy, and happiness. And creating this world to be a better place. We create that. We invent that. That's what we do, Israel. We create this world to be a better place. This is why I talked about earlier, recreating your situation. If you don't like it, recreate it. Reinvent the wheel. If you don't like the way your wheel is rolling now, reinvent it. Right, Shane, y'all? Reinvent it. And make it just the best will ever. Just make it the best will ever. And where people are talking about your will long after you're gone. And your children's children are being benefited by your will. Why? It's because at one time somebody sat down and said, you know what? I'm going to recreate my will. I don't like the way my wheel is spinning. Then recreate it. The Gentiles like to say, if the wheel ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, if you don't like the way the wheel is rolling, then recreate it, change it. Don't worry about trying to fix it. Put a whole new wheel on there. And then roll with the wheel that's making you happy. Thank you, Master of the universes. That's where we're at, Mishpah. So when we look at our foundation, let's go to what the Master was talking about as I give praise to the Master. The Master was talking about, the foundation. When we look at Luca, we'll look at the book of Luke. Again, I read from the Hidden Truth He Breaks Scrolls, the Abrahamic-Faith Bible. You don't have a Bible, please get it and add it to your repertoire. Add it to your library and use it in your studies. Luke chapter 6, verses 47, 48, and 49. Whomsoever comes to me and hears my sayings and does them, I will show you to whom he is like. Verse 48. He is like a man who built a house, a bait, and dug deep. When we talked about digging deep, and laid the foundation on a rock. And when the floods arose, and the stream beat vehemently upon the house, and could not shake it, for it was well built. Baruch Hashem. We talked about what's the purpose of a foundation, and a lot of you answered that in your correct answers, and your opinions. Baruch Hashem. Look at verse 49. But he that hears and does not is like a man without a foundation, and built his bait upon the earth, against which the streams did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell. And the ruin of that bait was great. Baruch Hashem. That's from the Master. Jesus of Nazareth, Master Yeshua, Master Yahweh. What powerful words, right? As we peel away at those words, I want to look at what he's talking about. He talked about the foundation. And I asked myself this question like, why? What's the purpose of a foundation? And you know what my answer was to myself? What's the purpose of a foundation? The purpose of a foundation is to stand. The purpose of my foundation is for me to be able to stand on. And I want to talk to you about this day about standing. It's important. I want to encourage all the family members this day listening via YouTube and live to stand. Stand. You have the foundation. Our foundation is the Torah. Now, I would encourage you all to stand. That's the word that was given to me this week. Stand. Things not going right around you? Stand. Lost your job? Stand. Lost the wife, the husband? Stand. Money kind of funny? Stand. When all else fails, I want to encourage the family this day, as I encourage myself, is to continue to stand. Things don't work out like you want them to? Stand. Why? It's because your foundation is not the earth. And believe me, but what's going on? Remember I talked about the actions in the world? Man, I don't know if you've seen any video footage of what's going on in China, but you want to watch some of that footage with these floods that's going on in China, and you'll see what happens when water hits a foundation that's not a house that's built on the earth. Just washed away. Why, Shane, y'all? Just washed away like just no man's business. Just like you see houses just floating. And I'm not laughing about it, but it's just like amazing how you see this and you say, wow, this is somebody's house, somebody's livelihood. Like Shane y'all said, it's gone, just like that. How powerful water is. The Master talked about when the winds come and the rains come, you'll still be able to, your foundation is solid. Your foundation is great. Because it's still going to be able to stand and withstand whatever's going to come. And so I would encourage you all this day to stand and then to withstand as well. Whatever's going to come. Wind, rain, floods, storms, hurricanes, don't matter. Giants, as Cody talked about in his lecture, continue to stand. When the giants stood before our forefathers stood. Some of them ran away. Probably some of them was ducking and dodging. But they stood. You have to stand when you meet your giant, as Cody talked about. And that giant can come in many forms. Unemployment, stand. Continue to stand. It's not the end of the world if you stand, but you got to stand. This is why I believe we have to have our foundation built on the solid, as the Master talked about. Our foundation has to be built upon the solid rock. Which is the Torah for us. We have to stand on it. With your meditation, stand on it. Stand. Well, Rabbi, I'm just not seeing anything work. Stand. Change. Pull out some new weapons in your arsenal. Keep testing. If you keep testing, you'll be proved. Just keep testing. Keep testing. Keep testing. Never give up. Stand. 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 Sometimes you may feel like you want to sit down. Stand. Sometimes you feel like you may want to lay down. Stand. The Master says in Luke chapter 6 verses 48, he is like a man who built a bait, a house, and dug deep and laid the foundation. The foundation is already laid, so you don't have to lay down anymore. Stand. And laid the foundation on a rock. I went many years with a foundation built upon the earth, and I've seen time and time again my foundation washed away. Now I realize that my house is well built. But I still see around me, as a student of human nature, those people who have what the Master called in Luke chapter 6 verse 49, great ruin. And the ruin of that base and the ruin of that house was great. I'm seeing that all around me. But somebody got to continue to stand. Now, this rock foundation is not for everybody. If my ex-wife can sit there and call me great, how come she don't want to be a part of the greatness? That was one of the first things that came to my head, right? I saw that luxury class. I said, wow, you're making this statement that I'm a great man. How come you don't want to be with a great man? You see what I mean? And then I realized, as I was dealing with self, that, not everybody wants greatness. Not everybody wants to be around greatness. Let's face it, Mishpah. We have to come to that conclusion. A lot of folks recognize greatness, but not everybody wants to be around it. Greatness is not for everybody, you see. It's just not for everybody. Luxury class said, my ex left me over the Torah. See? Torah is the greatest. The GOAT. The greatest of all time, right? But that's not for everybody. You see? So, we as students of human nature, we have to come to grips with that. Is that not everybody wants a foundation on the rock. And that's okay. Right? We don't have to conform. And we definitely don't have to persuade people to build your house on the rock. Luxury class says, she later tried to come back in communication. It didn't work. I'm glad. Baruch Hashem. I hope both of you all are happy. My desire, I don't hope. Let me take that back. My desire is that both of you are now happy. You see? That's my desire. Because when you try to remix some things, sometimes the remix don't turn out better than the original. You know what I mean? So sometimes you just have to let things go. Let go and let God to keep it moving. Let go and let the God in you keep moving. And find what's going to make you happy. Find that what's going to make you, give you, great joy and peace. Because it's out there. It's out there for you. Just like it's out there for me. You see? Luxury Class said it would have been now 10 years of misery. My goodness. Who wants to waste 10 years in these periods? You see? Of misery. No, you don't have to. Chalk it up as experience, move on to the next. Chalk it up as experience, move on to the next. You see, we have to move from strength to strength. You don't have to, but that should be your desire, to want to move from strength to strength. In our foundation. Our foundation is the rock. We want to build our foundation on that rock, on that Torah. And this is what Moses was reiterating to the Hebrews. Look, here is the foundation laid out. You have seen the foundation in action. You have seen the actions of the foundation. Choose foundation over earth. Because if you build your house, now, a lot of you gave great opinions, and they're all right, on the purpose of a foundation. Yeah. Again, in my opinion, it's to stand. Because, again, you want your house to stand. You want to stand on that foundation. You want your house to stand on that foundation. You want to base everything in this physical earth on solid rock, on foundation. Because believe you me, the storms are going to come. The stream, talked about the streams, the flood's going to come. The storms are going to come. And you can't be shaken. Like James Bond say, you can't be shaken. He likes his, how he likes his martini, shaken, not stirred. You can't be shaken, and they definitely can't stir you. Baruch Hashem. Take you back my James Bond days. I love James Bond. You can't be shaken, you definitely can't be stirred. Because you built on the foundation. And now, how are you going to see this? You got to do the assessment. And say, okay, is this shaking me up? Then go back to your foundation. You got to go back to what's solid. If you find that, your foundation, if you can't stand, you find, Rabbi, I can't stand, I'm laying down. Maybe I need to relay my foundation. Rabbi, I can't stand, I'm sitting down. You can stand. And you need to get yourself back to that point to where you can stand. Get yourself back. You're victorious. You've already won. But you got to see yourself as already the winner. And have already won, you see? You've already won. You're not a loser. Well, Rabbi, my ex-wife called me a loser. My ex-husband said I'm good for nothing. Don't. Are you going to let them write your history? Are you going to let them write your history? Quit letting other people write your history. Write your own history for yourself. Reclaim self. And solidify it. Make it solid. Because believe me, the wind's going to come. There's going to be a lot of action taking place. But when you're solid, you can't be moved. You can't be moved, Mishpahah. From the foundation of the world, the Torah stood and will stand. I'm going to stand with the Torah. Come Shiloh or Sheol, I'm standing with the Torah. And there's going to be a lot of opportunity for us. Remember I told you, all this action, look to see it continue for the rest of Gregory's 2020. I'm telling you, the rest of Gregorian 2020, Gregory's 2020, it's going to be a lot of activity going on. With that activity comes great opportunity for the children of Israel to do great things, you see. To do great things for great people and to raise people to greatness around you. To raise humanity to greatness. You see, when you come up, you don't come up by yourself. And I'm pretty sure you didn't build that foundation for yourself. You want many others to stand with you on your foundation as that desire to. Now you're going to find that there's a lot of people that are not going to want to stand with you. That's okay. They prefer the earth over rock. That's okay. And they may come to you only for you to throw them a life preserver. Only when they need you. Only when that flood is just taking them over and they being taken away and they saying, hey, Shane-Yah, throw me a lifeline. You throw them a lifeline. And they may only stay temporarily, and so be it. But you have to come to grips with that. You're not here to save the world. You're here to light the world. Many folks love darkness, Simha. Let them stay in the darkness. They love being in the dark. Let them stay there. Every now and then they're going to want to come for a little light. Be there for that light. Other than that, leave them in the darkness. Don't sit here wasting all of your valuable energy on, well, how am I going to get them out of the darkness? No, you're not. This is not communist Torah. Torah is not communism. It's free. So people have the ability to choose. That's important to understand. Associate yourself with those of your same mind. They love the foundation. They may not understand all the foundation, but they love the rock. They love to stand on the rock. And there's a lot of people that's like that, but they're not in the Torah. They don't, because they don't really understand it all, or they have problems with some of it, and so be it. But what makes me great is the Torah, and what makes luxury class great is the Torah, and some women just can't handle it, Some men just can't handle it, and so be it. But there's many men and there's many women out there that can. And just as we are accepting of other folks that want to be on the earth, have foundational earth, as just as they are accepting that we have foundational rock. And so be it. That's the phrase that you can agree to disagree. Baruch Hashem. And we can reason together. And we can have relation together because we can agree to disagree. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Unless you're of the super Hebrew type that just feel like, oh, everybody needs to be following this Torah, which is just not, come on, that's not reality. Let me remind you this day. We're strangers in their land. Okay? Don't forget that. We're strangers in this land. This is not a Torah government. As a matter of fact, if you go to Israel today, you realize even in Israel today, they're not ruled by a Torah government, by the way. They're ruled by one of the most secular governments you want to see on the face of this earth. So what is that telling you? Luxury class says, I learned not to cast which is holy to the dogs. I don't force the Torah on no one. Yeah, indeed. And I guarantee you, luxury class will say that learning has come from a wealth of experience. Because he's been down that road to where he thought he was super Hebrew. And he just everybody had to hear the truth. No, not everybody has to hear it, you see. He realized he wanted to help people, but he realized he was actually hurting people and doing what he was doing. So you just let human nature do what human nature does. And remember that we're strangers in this land. We're the strangers. We're not here to make America a Torah government. That's not our remit. We're here to be a light to the world. That's it. We've been dispersed. One of the beauties of the exiles, we've been dispersed to the four corners of this earth to bring a light to the whole world. A light that many folks see they don't love. And that's okay. But they see it. And sometimes they want to come to that light. Other times they don't. And, we have to respect that in folks, right? We must respect that in folks. And that's where we are, Mishpachah. Our foundation. Now let's look at Matityahu. See what the Master says in Matityahu. Let's look at Matityahu, Matthew chapter 12. We're going to start at verse 22. Then was brought to him one possessed with a demon, blind and dumb, and he healed him, insomuch that the blind and dumb both spoke and saw. Look at verse 23. All the people were amazed and said, Is not this the son of Dawood? Is not this the son of David? Look at verse 24. But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, This fellow does not cast out demons, but by Beelzebub, the ruler of demons. Look at verse 25. And then Yeshua, knew their thoughts and said to them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. I'm going to read that part again because there's some wisdom in that, and we can peel away at the onions for that for a while. Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. Let that marinate in there for a minute, Mishpachah. That's heavy. And Chokmah brought that to my attention this morning. Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. So, if you see people in desolation, what's the first thing that you can assume as students of human nature? That the kingdom is divided against itself. Think about that for a minute. Now, let's go on to read what else the Master Yahweh, Master Yeshua, Ben Yosef, what else did he say? And every city or base divided against itself shall not stand. Now, I don't know whether you consider yourself a kingdom, a city, or a base, but the Master hit on all of them, didn't he? I tell you, didn't he hit on all of them? He hit on the kingdom, he hit on the city, and he hit on the base. Where do you classify yourself? I don't need any responses. Only you know where you see yourself. Me, I'm the kingdom. I see myself, the kingdom divided against itself. Man, that's heavy. Listen to what he's saying here. I know we read this many times. I read this many times in Christianity, but it blew over my head. Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. Again, remember we talked about this? We talked about action and reaction. Now, if your reaction is desolation, and you're seeing that all around you in a physical presentation, then you may want to go back and assess your what? Assess your action. You see, because divided actions are, what's the byproduct of that? Desolation. Now, when you look at North America, and you see all these things going around North America, and everybody talking, it seems to be divisions occurring. I'm seeing this in the spiritual realm, and I'm seeing manifested in the physical realm as well. Now, this comes in seasons. I'm telling you this. I'm noticing this. It comes in seasons. And right now, we're in the season of what? A presidential election, right? And so one of the first things that human nature wants to do is cause division. Because what do they tell you? Who you going to vote for? That's already division right there. They want you to tell me who you going to vote for. Well, to me, that's a personal thing. You don't go around asking people. That's almost insulting. You don't go around, well, who you going to vote for? That's your own personal, that's on your own personal thing. You see? But this is the season of this right now, is that they're causing division. They're stirring division amongst Americans. And I don't know if you all don't see division, but there's a big time spirit of division going on in America today. And it's heavy. It's heavy. It's heavy. You see? Because what that'll do, and I'm telling you, I'm letting you know right now, Powers is going to put the power he wants in place. I'm just letting you know. But you kind of have to go through all these little battles before the war is won. Power's done won the war. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. Powers has won the war. But there's these little battles that they're going to take place. And you see all these little divisions here and there everywhere, trying to stir up animosity, trying to stir up all the negative sides of energy. When at the end of the day, powers, positive energy is going to prevail. Just letting you know. So what you're seeing is, you see, because you got to look at things from our Father's perspective. Now, one of these days, and I got a lecture brewing on that. And the title of that lecture is called Our Father. Baruch Hashem. It's called Our Father. But Father, so we got to have the mindset of Father. And we got to think like Father. So while everybody's out here protesting and all this mumbo jumbo, we just sit back and we're quiet. And we sit back and we're not causing division. Now, remember the Master talked about division. Division is not a part of the wheelhouse of the descendants of the Hebrews. We don't divide. Remember, I told you about this many times. We don't divide, we multiply. Division, a byproduct of division is desolation. The Master explained it right there. So whether you are a kingdom, whether you are a city, whether you are a bait, whether you are a house, if you divide, you can't stand. And I'm telling you this day to stand, Israel. Family. I'm telling you to stand this day. But if you have division, if you have two minds, if you have division going on within self, you can't stand. See where we're going? So this is why within yourself, you must be on the rock. Foundation. Rock solid and standing on the rock. Gotta stand. But what's not going to cause you to stand is what I'm telling you about today, what the Master's telling us. He's telling us that division. So you gotta, that's one of the assessments that you got to do with self in your meditations. Is there any division within me? Am I of two minds in any kind of way? See, you can't be of two minds. I think I've told you this once before. My grandma used to always tell me, always go with your first mind. You don't be of two minds. Go with one mind, because remember, our life is a test. I don't know if you understand this, but this journey on the face of this earth is all about a test. So at least you test one of those minds. If that mind don't work out, then you go to another mind. You get it? But when you have two minds, you can't accomplish anything. You see? There you go, luxury class. Luxury class says, double-minded is unstable in all their ways. You see, you know, don't be lukewarm, as the Master said. He'd rather you be hot or be cold, but don't be lukewarm. You see? Go with the mind and then go with it 110%. If you find in your action that the reactions are not suitable for you, not favorable for you, or there is no movement at all, no volatility like we talked about earlier, okay, now we're gonna change to a new mind. You have the ability to do that. Don't believe the hype. You don't have one-track mind. Well, I have to go with this. Come Shiloh or Sheol, I have to go with this thought, and that's it. No, you can change it up. You can, what they call it, you can flip the script. You can change it up. You can flip the script and rewrite you a new script, right? You don't have to roll with that. You can change. But, and then you can change based on, well, and then when you look back in your after action review, or you look back and you begin to repeat, like Moses began to repeat the Torah to the children of Israel, you begin to repeat, you look back and you say, wow, that didn't work out, but at least I tested it and found out that it didn't work. Like we say in our relations, hey man, that marriage didn't work out, but at least I tried, right? I gained a lot of experience from it. Hey, at least I know what I don't want and I know what I do want. You know what I mean? So there's always positivity to come out. What is perceived with the mind, being of two minds, is negative. Oh man, how did that happen? You see? Right, Simha? You can always find positivity and stuff, but you got to find it. And you got to be looking for it. We've learned so much in our relations on all different levels. Take that experience and chalk it up just as that, as experience, and utilize that in future relations, or in our relations now. You see? or in relations to come, Baruch Hashem. But just like the Master said, we don't want divided houses. We want houses that multiply. We like baby's kids. We don't die, we multiply. Division is death. Division is desolation, as the Master Yeshua talked about. We don't ever want to divide. We want to multiply. We want to keep replicating. Or like Yael, woman of the tent, said earlier, we want to do what? We want to rinse and we want to repeat. That's what we want to do. We don't want to divide. When we find out what works for us, for you, for me, then you just rinse it and you repeat it. That's what you do. You make life so much simpler that way. And you make life so much worth wanting to live. You see? Because you come to it from a whole different perspective. You come to it from the perspective of the foundation of a rock. Your foundation is solid. I don't care what people say about you. I don't care what people say to you. I don't care what people say about how you going to be or you not going to be. None of that matters at the end of the day. What matters is how you think of yourself. My ex-wife called me a great man. I do believe I'm a great man. I am a great man. My wife now calls me a great man, and I am a great man. She told me last night, you're the best father. You're the best husband. I said, Baruch Hashem, thank you, honey. I said it's only because I have the best queen in the world. You see, when you get it, you got to give it back. You see, you got to give it back. That'll keep you humble. See, because behind every great man is a greater woman. Baruch Hashem. I believe in that. I totally believe in that. I'll take that to my grave. I'll go to sleep with my forefathers believing that. Behind every great man is just an awesome, there's a greater woman. That's just what it is. So we need to understand that. So, from the foundation of the world, we have been established. And establishment was established. So we just have to go back to the foundation. And then, when we get to that foundation, we realize, once that foundation is established, we realize that we must stand on it. You totally must stand. And when all else fails, continue to stand. When there's failure all around you, stand. When there's plague all around you, stand. Stand on that foundation. And you'll see these 6 days of labor, those that are around you, that you'll say, yep, Rabbi Kefa's right. These are people that's foundation is an earthly foundation. Because they shaky. And they like 007. They shaking and they stirred. You'll see it. I want you to look for it. You'll see it. You won't have to say nothing. You'll see it. You will just see it. You'll just see it. And you'll be like, wow. That's the difference between rock foundation and earth foundation. I'm starting to get into this airbender. This movie about the airbender. How he takes all the elements of the earth and all that. I find that very interesting. But there's a difference between, and all that's energy. That's a great little show. But that's all interesting because, at the end of the day, it's energy. Earth is energy. Rock is also energy. And people are going to be pulled to certain energies. Our DNA is to be pulled towards the rock. We have the DNA of El Shaddai. So we're going to be pulled, we're going to gravitate towards the rock. Whilst others, they're just earth. And they come from the earth. You see, but we come from rock. But they come from earth. See, we got to understand this on this level. And you'll say you have appreciation for humanity. And for Mother Earth as well. And they're just earthy, but we're rocky. Da-na-na. We're rocky, man. Yeah, we might get some bumps and bruises, but we're still standing. And if you notice that movie Rocky, he was the same way. I mean, my goodness, Rocky been hit so many times, so hard. But every time Rocky went down, guess what he did, Miss Bahar? I mean, how many of you in this room, right, put up a capital R if you actually watch Rocky? Because I just want to, it's amazing how this parallels, right? Every time Rocky got knocked down, what did he do? He got his butt back up. Even if he was hanging on to the rope trying to, he was hanging on to the rope trying to get up. He got back up though, didn't he? He got back up and they were knocking right back down, but he still got right back up, right back up, right back up, right back up. If you haven't watched Rocky in the room, go watch it. You haven't watched Rocky listening via YouTube, go watch it. It's a great movie. But he got right back up, depending on whichever one you want to watch. He got right back up. Got right back up. Situations in life gonna try to knock you down, so be it. Get right back up. Get right back up, Mishpahah, and continue to stand. Because I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to leave you with this. Because guess what? You're not standing alone. And Moses was, the biggest cheerleader, the greatest of all time prophet, greatest of all time priest, greatest of all time teacher. He was, in his last days on this earth, he was trying to tell the children of Israel, look, you're not in this by yourself. You didn't take this journey by yourself. You've gotten great assistance by greatness, by powers. And that will continue. So I want to encourage you and tell you the same thing. You're not standing by yourself. When you're wandering through your so-called desert, you're not going through it alone. The Master said he would never leave us or forsake us. So you're not in it alone. So stand. And the Master will stand with you. Powers will be with you. And you will move from strength to strength. So what? You got to take a blow or two here and there. Continue to stand. Those blows make you stronger. And so be it. You know, some of you saying, Rabbi, yeah, I've been hit with a lot of blows. Well, continue to stand. And as Moses said, be strong and be strengthened. Baruch Hashem. And we move from strength to strength. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up for the Shabbat. And leave you and love you in the mighty hands of the Most High, the God of Israel. Chadasha for coming in. Chadasha for listening in. And may these teachings and the direction and guidance that we get from our Kohen be instructional and guidance to you as you navigate in your sojourn in this journey of life, and you meet all your desires that you want for yourself, and you fulfill them, and you meet them, and you go from strength to strength. That's my cry and my petition and my desire for all of you, Mr. Bahar. So on that note, we'll wrap it up. If there are any questions, you can put them out this time. If not, we're going to close the room up so we can go enjoy our families. I'm going to go change some diapers and help Nakshan learn to walk. Man, he's walking. I tell you, Nakshan is standing. Baruch Hashem. So I'll go teach my 10-month-old how to start walking. Baruch Hashem. So on that note, we'll wrap it up. And I wish you all a great Shabbat ahead, great 6 days of labor ahead as we continue in this journey of life and meeting our desires and wants and needs. Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to you all, Mishpahah. Have a great 6 days of labor ahead.